Hello and welcome to another edition of Only in Illinois, your weekly video recap from Reboot Illinois. I'm Madeleine Doubek here with Matt Dietrich, and this week we had a long-awaited policy announcement from Republican governor nominee Bruce Rauner. He did it with some chickens in a cage.
Yes.
And nobody's the results from the media are not very favorable.
No.
You also thought there were quite a few holes in this first effort.
Right, and I should point out that candidate Rauner may have been responding to your own open letter that Madeleine wrote to Bruce Rauner, urging him to come out with some details, and 2 days later he came out with some details.
I'm sure it was all me.
And 3 chickens. The chickens were there at his press conference at Midway Airport. The chickens were there to symbolize the $175,000 that the state spent flying endangered prairie chickens from Kansas to Illinois as part of a repopulation program that actually was financed by
Fees from hunters,
hunting license fees.
Regular tax dollars.
Right. Bruce Rauner for months has been saying that he's going to bring in a team of business experts, and they're going to go top to bottom and really reshape the state budget and redo state government. So when you make those kind of claims, you set expectations pretty high. A lot of these ideas either are recycled or highly impractical. We have back bills in the billions of dollars. We are about to lose $1.8 billion in tax money in the coming fiscal year. What I saw in Rauner's plan was, he's not going to take a salary. That's going to save $700,000. Well, that's $700,000. So this is my big problem, is Bruce Rauner had built this up like, I'm going to come in with a revolutionary new way to do things. We're going to change the whole structure. We're going to shake everything up. And what we saw was just a rehash of what we've seen so many times before.
And not a whole lot of detail. In one instance he said, I'm going to save $500 million by reforming a major state agency that handles a lot of ordering and purchasing and things.
Right.
And we've yet to see the specifics of how we're going to get to that.
Yes, he's also got ideas like not letting the legislative leaders have outside employment. Well, to do that, you've got to change the state constitution, I think, because the Constitution is what defines how the legislature functions. That's a pretty big job. Bruce Rauner is also the guy who for months criticized his Republican primary opponents for being career politicians. Okay, so now if the legislative leaders,
to be career politicians.
if they can't have outside employment, then they have to be career politicians because that becomes their career. So I don't quite get that. But he says more details are coming. There is some credit to be given. He brings up some legitimate points. Mm-hmm. When the state auditor general finds that $13 million in Medicaid payments went out for people who were deceased, that's a problem. I think what we'll get into as Rauner gives more details is, it's going to dawn on people that there's no magic bullet here. Illinois this has been going on for decades. We've been deceiving ourselves into thinking that we're paying for a level of government when we haven't been really paying for it. We've been, we borrowed to fund state operations when that was supposed to go to pensions. We borrowed from the pension funds to make our budget quote unquote balanced. We expanded gambling to bring all kinds of new money in. We've used all these tricks to deceive ourselves into thinking that we can afford so much more government than we're actually paying for, and the bag of tricks is empty now.
Right. So in any event, the events this week demonstrate that the campaigns are heating up and heading into another level. The legislative session was over. Those two things combined made it seem like a good time to take a fresh look at these races and do a little polling. And so Reboot Illinois commissioned a couple of polls this week from We Ask America, automated polling. And first look at the Senate race between Dick Durbin and Jim Oberweis. And we found that Dick Durbin is starting out the summer about 13 points ahead of Jim Oberweis. and there's a bit of a gender gap there.
Right.
And then also in the governor's race, Bruce Rauner, the challenger, is ahead by 10 points ahead of Democrat incumbent Pat Quinn.
This is a familiar place for Quinn, though, because
Right.
during the late summer in 2010, he was also 10 points down in the polls, and he came back and won in the slimmest of victories by 32,000 votes, less than 1%. So you have to take any polling at this early stage with a grain of salt. But it does give a pretty good, it gives a picture of how things are shaping up.
Sets the base for moving forward. It also can help you understand a little bit about what the campaigns are seeing and why they do the things that they do. One thing that I noticed was that Pat Quinn also benefits from a gender gap and does a little bit better among women. And so that, to me, explained why we are seeing a lot of Diana Rauner all of a sudden. And that there, a month or so ago, there was a big event with Bruce and Diana Rauner that was really targeting women voters. And so we'll probably see some more of that.
Right.
So that's it for this week's edition. Check out the polls, check out Matt's blog, and we'll see you on the next edition of Only in Illinois.